Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a special report, 5 Secrets to Winning Any Fight. Now this isn't your run-of-the-mill self-defense guide.
Not at all.
We're talking about insights gleaned from a seriously hardcore groupthink, Navy SEALs, Russian Spetsnaz operatives, street fighters who've been in the thick of it, bounty hunters.
SWAT trainers, yeah, even those black bag types.
Exactly. So what's the underlying thread here for you? It's that survival isn't just about physical prowess. It's about a mindset honed in the most extreme real-world scenarios.
And what's fascinating is the raw experience we're looking at. These aren't just theories. These are lessons learned in, well, truly high-stakes situations, offering you a perspective most people never encounter.
Totally. This report, put together by Dr. Russell Hareen and his company TRS, aims to arm you. Maybe someone who hasn't spent years training in a dojo with some absolutely critical knowledge, and to do it fast.
Without needing that intense long-term commitment.
Yeah.
The idea is, by digging into this, you could grasp more about handling dangerous situations than, like, 99% of people out there. That's a bold claim, but when you consider the individuals involved,
Yeah.
it carries some serious weight.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about folks like Paul Vunak, a Jeet Kune Do master who actually trained Navy SEALs because their standard combat training was considered, well, let's just say, lacking for certain situations. Then you've got Tom Proctor, reportedly undefeated in the brutal world of illegal pit fights. That's a far cry from your local martial arts class.
Oh, absolutely.
And Vladimir Vasilyev, a former Spetsnaz super soldier, basically a top-tier operative from Russian special forces.
Right. It's a collection of people who've genuinely been there. And Dr. Hareen doesn't sugarcoat things. He acknowledges that some of this might sound intense.
Vicious, even.
Yeah, vicious. But his point is crystal clear. This isn't about playing around. This is about the stark reality of genuinely dangerous situations. Our mission here is to give you a clear understanding of real threats and the kinds of tactics that might be essential to deal with them.
Okay. So where do we start?
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with secret number 1. Zones of awareness. This is a foundational concept used by professionals in high-risk environments to maintain their safety. It's about understanding your level of engagement with your surroundings.
The report breaks this down into 4 distinct zones, moving from complete unawareness to a state of high alert.
Let's start with white. This is described as total unawareness, someone completely lost in their own world, utterly oblivious to what's happening around them.
Like someone scrolling through their phone, walking down a busy street, not looking up.
Exactly. Dr. Hareen calls this the state of the victim. Have you ever found yourself in that white zone, completely lost in thought and detached from what's going on around you?
Oh, easily done. It's a state many of us drift into, especially with, all the constant distractions of modern life. The real takeaway for you, though, is that cultivating even a baseline yellow awareness can dramatically reduce your vulnerability.
Without making you paranoid.
Right, without making you paranoid. It's a simple shift in attention with significant returns. Bad actors actively look for individuals in this state because they represent the easiest targets.
Then we move to yellow.
Mm-hmm.
This is labeled the resting state of the savvy man or just casual awareness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's about being watchful, actively paying attention to your surroundings without being, overly vigilant. The report presents a little test for you.
Yeah.
Can you describe the room you're in right now without looking around?
That's a good one.
It encourages you to practice this kind of casual observation.
This is about developing a baseline awareness, really. Noticing when something is out of the ordinary. It's not about scanning for threats constantly, but rather having a general sense of who and what is around you.
So you pick up on shifts.
Exactly. That way, if something does shift, you're more likely to pick up on it early. Think of it as having a low-level background process running in your mind that's constantly taking in information about your environment.
Okay. Next up is red. This is immediate heightened awareness that kicks in when danger is perceived.
Right, the alarm bells.
Imagine walking down the street and noticing someone following you who seems off.
Yeah.
That's when you shift into red. It's the state of being prepared to act.
And the report emphasizes this is a crucial difference between civilians and professionals. Most people, when faced with a sudden threat, might just freeze.
Because of surprise and shock.
Exactly, which Dr. Hareen points out is exactly what bad guys rely on.
Being in the red state allows you to access any self-defense knowledge you might have without that hesitation.
You're taking away their advantage, the element of surprise. By training yourself to enter the red state when your awareness flags a potential threat, You're mentally preparing to respond rather than being caught completely off guard.
Like a car alarm going off in your mind, as you said.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't mean danger is imminent, but it signals that something isn't right and you need to pay closer attention and be ready to react.
Finally, we have black. This is described as the most lethal state, activated when going to the wall is absolutely necessary to protect yourself or loved ones.
So last resort.
Think of the scenario of someone breaking into your home at night while your family is there. The report mentions the possibility of needing to use lethal force if the situation demands it.
The black state represents a level of commitment and resolve that is reserved for the most extreme circumstances. It's about understanding that there are situations where survival necessitates decisive and potentially irreversible action.
Primal stuff.
Yeah, this is the point where survival instincts take over completely. It's about a primal need to protect yourself and those you care about, and it bypasses hesitation or doubt.
The report then transitions to the importance of taking action, highlighting it as a key differentiator between civilians and these seasoned professionals. So that's the framework of zones of awareness.
Pretty clear.
Now let's move on to secret number 2, philosophy. This section delves into the mental approach to handling potential threats, moving beyond simply being aware to establishing a clear mindset for action.
The core concept here is drawing a line in the sand. Now, this isn't about bluffing or making empty threats. It's about predetermining a specific point, whether it's a certain distance someone gets to you, a particular movement they make, or a change in the overall situation at which you automatically decide to act.
In that red state we just discussed.
Exactly. It's about creating mental triggers that bypass indecision. By establishing these lines, you're essentially making the decision to act before the critical moment arrives, which can significantly reduce hesitation.
And the report outlines potential actions once that line is crossed and you're in the red. You might choose to leave the situation entirely,
Get out of there.
to run away to safety. And they emphasize it's not cowardice, but a sensible option.
Totally sensible.
To confront the person assertively, what do you want? Or, as a last resort, to attack if all other options are exhausted.
The hierarchy of response here is important. It emphasizes de-escalation and avoidance whenever possible, with physical action reserved for situations where there's no other viable option. Think of these lines as internal tripwires.
Tripwires, yeah.
When someone crosses them, it triggers a pre-programmed response, allowing you to act decisively instead of freezing up in fear or confusion.
Dr. Horin then tackles a common misconception. He says many people naively believe they'll instinctively know what to do if danger arises simply because they consider themselves a decent guy.
Wishful thinking.
He contrasts this with the brutal truth that panic can be paralyzing regardless of your moral character.
That's a crucial point. Good intentions or a belief in innate courage aren't substitutes for a prepared mindset and a basic understanding of how to react under pressure.
Right.
The physiological response to extreme stress can override rational thought and learned behaviors if you haven't mentally prepared for it. It's like expecting to know how to swim just because you're a good person.
Oh, yeah, good analogy.
You need to learn the techniques and practice them to be effective in a crisis.
He uses the example of investigating a noise at home at night. He asks you what you would do if you were confronted by masked intruders. His point is that simply yelling or threatening might be utterly ineffective
Useless. Probably worse.
against someone who's already committed to a dangerous act. The criminal mindset often revolves around exploiting vulnerability.
They're looking for the path of least resistance. Yelling might even escalate the situation or reveal your position further. Criminals often count on the victim's hesitation and disbelief. They exploit the fact that most people aren't mentally prepared for violence.
And the report emphasizes that criminals are looking for easy pickings. They target those who appear defenseless or unaware. It also debunks the idea that your size alone guarantees safety,
Oh yeah, definitely.
pointing out that experienced criminals can often smell when someone doesn't know how to fight, and that size can even be a disadvantage against a skilled opponent.
This reinforces the idea that awareness and a proactive mindset are more significant deterrents than physical stature alone. Someone who appears alert and confident is a less appealing target.
Like a predator choosing its prey.
Exactly. They'll typically go for the weakest and most vulnerable-looking animal. Awareness and a decisive demeanor project an image of strength and preparedness.
Dr. Hirin shares a personal anecdote about his wife Helen in a parking lot. Because she was in that heightened yellow state of awareness, she noticed a suspicious man following her and her young sons.
Okay.
She drew her line in the sand, decided on course of action, and when the man continued to follow, she turned and stared directly at him, letting him know she'd noticed.
And
The result.
eh,
He immediately backed off and left.
wow. Just like that.
Just like that. He then asks you what your reaction or a loved one's might be in a similar situation.
That's a powerful example of how even a subtle shift in awareness and a decisive non-confrontational action can de-escalate a potentially dangerous situation. It highlights the effectiveness of projecting awareness and refusing to be an easy target. Helen's reaction sent a clear message. I see you, and I'm not an easy target.
That direct, non-aggressive confrontation was enough.
It was enough to deter the potential threat.
The report then details the professional's hierarchy of response to danger. First, leave if you can.
Always the best option. Second, run away. Emphasizing again, it's not cowardice, but sensible.
Smart. Very smart.
Third, confront the threat assertively. And finally, fight decisively as an absolute last resort.
This aligns with the principle of minimizing risk. Physical confrontation is always the most dangerous option, so the priority is to remove yourself from the situation if at all possible. Avoidance is always the best strategy. Running away isn't about being weak. It's about being smart and prioritizing your safety.
Elaborating on the lines in the sand concept, the report uses the example of a SWAT cop facing a knife-wielding suspect. They establish a danger zone maybe 10-20 feet, a tripwire distance, say around 15 feet, and the point at which the encounter shifts from negotiation to the use of lethal force if that line is crossed.
Clear boundaries.
Right. Dr. Horeen connects this to his own personal tripwire regarding a home intrusion with his family present, stating he would immediately use lethal force without hesitation. These clear boundaries eliminate the ambiguity and hesitation that can be fatal in a high-threat situation. By predetermining the trigger for a decisive response, you're acting rather than reacting. It's about having a mental protocol in place for critical situations, removing the need for split-second decision-making under extreme pressure.
Even contrasts this decisive mindset with the paralysis of indecision, sharing his own experience of failing a police training scenario because he hesitated.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he lacked those clear tripwire decision skills, ultimately getting killed in the simulation.
Wow. That personal anecdote underscores the importance of mental preparation and having clear protocols for action. Even someone with technical skills can falter under pressure if they haven't developed that decisive mindset.
It highlights the difference between knowing what to do and being able to decide to do it
Under stress, yeah.
in a high-stress situation. The report summarizes the professional's code. Avoid trouble, walk away when possible, and if you can't leave, finish it decisively.
Short and brutal.
It emphasizes that real fights are short and brutal, nothing like the drawn-out brawls seen in movies.
The reality of violence is often swift and overwhelming. There's rarely an opportunity for prolonged exchanges. The goal is to neutralize the threat as quickly and efficiently as possible. Real-world violence is about speed and decisive action. No rules, no referees, often no warnings.
Finally, this section discusses the levels of force truths. Don't rely on a gun being available.
Might not have it, might not get to it.
You can't shoot someone who isn't a lethal threat legally.
Big implications there.
Guns require extensive training and those crucial tripwire decision skills. Therefore, basic physical skills are absolutely essential. Okay, that's a lot to digest about the philosophy.
It's a crucial foundation.
Let's move on to secret number 3. First moves. This transitions us from the mental realm to the initial physical actions you might take if confronted with a threat where escape is not an option.
Okay, the physical part. The report emphasizes that at this stage, you're past the yellow awareness state. Escape routes are gone, and you've made the conscious decision to act.
Game on.
Yeah. The primary goal of the first move is to inflict instant, blinding pain to disable your opponent while simultaneously avoiding getting hit yourself. The key is to initiate action.
Act first.
To know you're in a fight before the attacker fully does. The element of surprise shifts from the attacker to you. By taking immediate offensive action, you disrupt their plan and create an opportunity to gain control.
The report mentions Paul Vunak's extensive experience, stating that most of his thousands of street fights lasted only a matter of seconds.
That underscores the importance of that initial action. That brevity highlights the need for techniques that are immediately effective and don't require a lengthy setup or rely on specific environmental conditions. These first moves are about creating an immediate advantage, disrupting the attacker's momentum, and putting them on the defensive.
The basic principle of the first move is described as hit, angle, and put him off balance. Basically, don't just stand there and trade punches.
Yeah, toe-to-toe stuff.
Hit first, move so they can't hit you back easily, and make them stumble. This involves parrying or striking an incoming blow, stepping off center to avoid their energy, and then continuing the strike to disrupt their balance.
Or, if you're initiating, it's strike, move off center, and keep going to knock them off balance.
Right. This principle maximizes your offensive potential while minimizing your vulnerability. By moving off the direct line of attack, you're making yourself a harder target and creating angles for your own strikes.
Think of it like a bowling ball. You don't want to meet it head on. You want to deflect it to the side to throw it off course.
Good visual. The report then introduces several specific first moves from their experts. First is Chris Clugston's pop-up move, figure A. He reportedly invented this after observing a lion taking down a Cape buffalo.
A lion?
It's designed for when someone is trying to wrestle you to the ground. The technique involves stepping aside, lowering your body, rooting with your back foot, and then pushing up with your hands to redirect their incoming energy.
Ah, using their momentum against them. This is a clever technique. By shifting your body and using a solid base, you can disrupt their takedown attempt and potentially put them off balance because they're trying to move your weight, and you're suddenly not where they expect you to be. It's about using leverage and timing to turn their attack into a vulnerability.
Next is Paul Vunak's eye jab, figure B. This is presented as a simple technique to buy time and immediately stop aggression.
Simple but effective.
Even a graze to the eye causes involuntary blinking and watering, severely blurring vision. A full strike, while capable of winning the fight, requires a follow-up.
The eye is an incredibly sensitive and vulnerable target. Even a momentary disruption of vision can create a critical window of opportunity for further action or escape. It's a high-impact, low-risk move that can instantly change the dynamic of a confrontation.
Ray Ellingson then explains his off-center concept, figure C. He insists on never going straight against an attack.
Makes sense.
Stepping aside, he argues, blinks the incoming energy, effectively cuts their offensive weapons in half.
Takes a whole side out of play.
By taking an entire side of their body out of the equation and opens them up for 3 key strikes. Go low, with a knee or foot strike to the knee.
Vulnerable.
Go middle, with a fist or elbow to the ribs, especially the lower ribs, or stomach.
Takes the wind out of them.
And go high, with a palm or side of the hand to the throat.
Dangerous target. Think of it like this. If someone's swinging a bat straight at you, stepping to the side not only avoids the direct hit, but also exposes their entire side, making them an easier target. This is about maximizing your tactical advantage by disrupting their attack and simultaneously creating openings for your own.
Finally, in this section, we have Pom Proctor's shield, figure D. He developed this as a simple defense against bigger, more skilled opponents, particularly when surprised or in close quarters where running isn't an option.
A cover-up move.
Yeah, it's described as a way to protect yourself from blows and set up those counterattacks we just discussed.
The shield acts as a barrier, giving you a moment to assess the situation and create an opening for your own offensive maneuvers. It's a way to manage an immediate threat without necessarily engaging in a direct exchange of strikes. It's a fundamental defensive posture that allows you to absorb incoming force and prepare your response.
The bottom line of this section, according to the report, is to initiate action and never rely on simply reacting.
Be proactive, not reactive.
Know your boundaries, and when they are violated, act decisively. If attacked from behind, the advice is to get offline quickly and immediately disable the attacker. And the cardinal rule? Never willingly allow yourself to be struck.
Don't be a punching bag.
Okay, we've covered how to initiate. Now let's delve into secret number 4, finish moves. This section focuses on the techniques used to decisively end a fight once you've initiated action and gained an advantage. The emphasis is on acting quickly and ensuring the threat is neutralized.
The follow-through is crucial. A successful initial move creates an opportunity, but it's the finishing move that ensures the opponent is unable to continue the attack.
The report re-emphasizes the brevity of real fights and stresses that if you're unprepared or don't act decisively after your initial move, you risk losing any advantage you might have gained.
Can't let them recover.
It highlights that when others are depending on you, being quickly incapacitated is unacceptable.
These finishing moves are about ending the threat decisively and immediately, ensuring your safety and the safety of those you're protecting.
The report presents a series of simple and learnable finishing moves from various experts. First up is Paul Vunak's headbutt, figure E.
Ouch.
The advice is to grab the back of the opponent's neck or hair and thrust your forehead into their nose while simultaneously pulling their head down. Even a poorly executed headbutt can be incredibly disabling.
Doesn't need to be perfect.
The report cautions against closing your eyes during the strike. Vunak is quoted as saying, "In reality, as soon as you deliver this blow, it's lights out and the party's over."
Pretty definitive. He also mentions the disabling ear slap, right? Where you cup your hand and strike hard, creating a disorienting vacuum effect.
Yeah, that too.
The headbutt utilizes the natural weight and solidity of the skull to target a highly sensitive area. The ear slap disrupts balance and can cause significant disorientation. Both are direct and require minimal setup. These are primal, instinctual moves that can be highly effective in close quarters combat.
Next is Mark Hatmaker's chokehold, figure F. This involves getting behind the opponent, placing your elbow under their chin so your bicep and forearm are on either side of their neck.
The blood choke.
Locking your hands together. Think of it like forming a tight V with your forearms around their neck and gripping your hands firmly like you're trying to squeeze water out of a towel and squeezing to cut off the blood supply to the head via the carotid artery.
Effective but dangerous.
Very. The report includes a strong warning about the danger of this technique and the importance of releasing the hold once the opponent is unconscious to avoid fatality, emphasizing that the goal is self-defense, not killing.
The chokehold is a highly effective way to quickly render someone unconscious. However, the warning is critical. It's a technique that needs to be applied with an understanding of its potential consequences and a focus on controlling the level of force. It's a powerful technique that can neutralize a threat quickly, but it demands responsibility and control.
Mike Goldback presents the thigh kick, figure G. This is a hard kick to the back of the thigh, targeting the sciatic nerve
Literally horse from hell.
and causing a debilitating Charlie horse.
The report contrasts this with the groin kick, which, while effective if an open shot exists, is considered a lower percentage strike, especially against someone in an aggressive stance.
Harder to land than people think.
Unlike what's often taught in less practical martial arts classes.
Targeting the thigh offers a larger and more accessible target than the groin in many combative situations. The resulting pain and muscle spasm can immediately impair mobility. It's a reliable way to immediately reduce an opponent's ability to move and continue their attack. Bob Taylor offers the shin-rake and stomp, figure H. If grabbed from behind, the technique involves digging your heel down the opponent's shin and then stomping on their foot.
Simple, painful.
The shin is noted as being very tender, and the bones in the foot are easily crushed, unless protected by steel boots. The foot stomp is also mentioned as a potential escape from a bear hug if other defenses fail.
And the groin uppercut he likes.
Right, that too.
This technique focuses on causing immediate pain and disrupting the opponent's stability. The shin is particularly vulnerable, and a forceful stomp can be incredibly debilitating. These are brutal but effective techniques for creating space and incapacitating an attacker in close quarters.
Vladimir Vasiliev introduces the knee pop, figure 1. This involves stepping hard on the opponent's toe to anchor their foot, and then pushing your knee into their knee, exploiting its vulnerability to backward force.
Not good for the knee joint.
No, this can be done with either foot to either of their knees.
The knee joint is not designed to handle lateral or backward pressure. This technique uses leverage and body weight to inflict significant damage and force the opponent to the ground. It's a focused attack on a joint that is critical for mobility, and a successful application can end a fight quickly.
Randy Warner details several finishing targets, including breaking the nose, taking out the eyes with thumbs, and disrupting breathing. He elaborates on the throat jab, figure J.
Another dangerous one.
Which involves inserting a finger into the soft V below the Adam's apple and pushing down, causing immediate pain and potentially forcing them to their knees. Continued pressure can damage the windpipe.
The throat is an extremely vulnerable area. This technique targets a sensitive spot that can quickly disrupt breathing and cause intense pain, potentially leading to incapacitation. These are high-risk, high-reward targets that can quickly neutralize a threat and executed effectively.
Lastly in this section, Jim West presents the chin blast, figure K, if pinned in a corner by a larger attacker. The technique involves placing a hand on their chest and then driving your elbow upward into their chin for disorientation, which then opens up their throat for a follow-up strike.
The upward elbow strike to the chin is a powerful, close-quarters technique that can cause a knockout or severe disorientation, creating an opportunity to further neutralize the threat.
Okay, we've covered a range of finishing moves. Now let's look at secret number 5. Against weapons.
The scary stuff.
This section specifically addresses the terrifying scenario of fighting bare-handed against someone armed with a knife. Paul Vunak's primary advice is stark: run.
Smartest move.
The report acknowledges that in a knife fight, you are likely to get cut, directly contradicting Hollywood's unrealistic portrayals.
Yeah, forget the movies. That's a crucial piece of reality to accept. Trying to engage with a knife-wielding attacker unarmed is inherently dangerous, and avoiding the confrontation entirely is always the safest option. If someone has a knife, your primary goal should be to create distance and escape. Engaging them empty-handed is a last resort.
However, the report concedes that running isn't always possible,
Sometimes you're cornered.
which necessitates immediate offensive action against the hand holding the knife. The idea being to defang the snake.
Attack the weapon hand.
The focus shifts from trying to block or parry the blade itself, which is extremely difficult and likely to result in injury, to targeting the source of the threat, the hand controlling the weapon.
The goal is to disrupt their grip and take away their ability to use the knife effectively.
To do this, the report strongly recommends arming yourself with improvised weapons. Anything readily available, like a stick, a bar stool, a car antenna, or even a trash can lid.
Whatever's handy.
Vladimir Vasilyev suggests using your belt as a whip or your wallet as a stinging strap. A tightly rolled or whipped magazine is also mentioned as a surprisingly effective improvised weapon.
The key here is to create a barrier and a tool to disrupt the attacker's control of the knife from a safer distance than trying to engage empty-handed. Everyday objects can become surprisingly effective defensive tools in a desperate situation. Look around you. In most environments, there are objects that can be used to create distance and disrupt an attack.
The core tactic is to use your improvised weapon to strike the hand holding the knife, aiming to numb it or knock the weapon loose.
Disarm them.
The instant this happens, the advice is to immediately move off center and take them out using the finishing moves we just discussed.
Follow up immediately. This is a high-risk strategy, but as the report states, it offers a viable option when facing a potentially lethal threat where escape isn't possible. It's about creating a brief window of opportunity to neutralize the attacker. This is a desperate measure for a desperate situation. Your focus must be on speed and precision to disarm the attacker.
Finally, we have a bonus section on dirty tricks.
The fun stuff.
The report emphasizes that in a real fight, there are absolutely no rules.
None whatsoever. When your safety or the safety of others is at stake, conventional notions of fair play become irrelevant. The priority is to survive. Anything that gives you an advantage in a life-or-death situation is permissible.
The report shares several examples of dirty tricks to gain a crucial advantage. Jim West suggests throwing coffee or spitting liquids in the opponent's face to cause an automatic flinch, buying you an extra second.
Distraction tactics.
Bob Taylor recommends throwing your glasses at their face. Smokers can toss a lit cigarette.
Oh.
Paul Vunak teaches that biting is permissible and effective, especially if surprised or on the ground.
Primal again.
Tom Proctor, the cage fighter, advises that if you end up on the bottom, you should turn onto your back and kick like a girl with a flurry of strikes to create space.
Flail kick defense. These tactics are designed to disrupt the attacker's focus, create a momentary distraction, and open them up to further attack. They leverage unexpected actions to gain an edge in a chaotic and dangerous situation. These are about disrupting their attack and creating an opportunity for you to escape or counter.
The report reiterates that anything you're carrying can potentially be used as a weapon. A flashlight, a glass of water, even a stiff floppy disk.
Floppy disk. That dates it a bit.
Yeah. Or pen or pencil used to jab at soft targets. If available, a baseball bat or golf club can be swung or used for jabbing in close quarters.
This reinforces the idea of being resourceful and adaptable in a dangerous situation, utilizing whatever tools are at hand to defend yourself. Your environment and anything you have with you can become part of your defense.
The final and crucial point in the bonus section is, once you have the upper hand, finish it.
Don't hesitate.
The report reminds you that your opponent isn't playing by any rules, so neither should you. The only thing that truly matters is your safety and the protection of your loved ones.
And the threat.
Okay, that brings us to the end of the material in the 5 Secrets report. It's been a deep dive indeed, covering a range of tactical survival skills from awareness and mindset to specific physical techniques and even improvised tactics.
It has. What stands out is the recurring theme of proactive thinking and decisive action. It's not just about learning techniques, it's about cultivating a mindset of preparedness and a willingness to act decisively when necessary.
Absolutely. This deep dive into 5 secrets to winning any fight has provided some really intense insights into tactical survival, drawn directly from the experiences of real-world fighters. We've covered the importance of maintaining awareness through defined zones,
White, yellow, red, black.
establishing a decisive philosophy with clear lines in the sand, essentially giving yourself permission to act decisively when it matters most.
The mental tripwires.
Utilizing simple but effective first moves to gain the initiative, hitting first, moving, and disrupting balance.
Hit, hit, angle, off balance.
Employing practical finishing moves to neutralize threats, and even considering how to act when facing someone armed with a weapon, along with those no-holds-barred dirty tricks.
The key takeaway for you is that even without extensive training, understanding these principles can significantly enhance your ability to respond effectively in a dangerous situation. It's about being mentally prepared and knowing that you have options.
And hopefully, for you listening, this has provided a foundational understanding of fighting to win in those extreme circumstances, potentially giving you a level of knowledge that most people simply don't possess. This raises an important question. How does this information challenge your previous assumptions about self-defense?
Yeah, it probably does for a lot of people.
It encourages a move away from passive hope towards a more proactive stance on personal safety and preparedness.
It encourages you to think critically about your own preparedness and to consider how these principles might apply to real-world scenarios.
Exactly. So consider how this information challenges your previous assumptions about self-defense and how you might apply these principles to enhance your personal safety and the safety of those you care about. It's definitely something to mull over, the importance of proactive awareness and preparedness in a world where threats, unfortunately, can arise unexpectedly. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.